While the world's gaze is fixed on a geopolitical hotspot, three crucial narratives are unfolding beneath the surface, each holding the power to reshape our future in ways you might not expect. These are not minor issues, each possesses the potential to fundamentally alter the world we inhabit. The reason most people are missing them is the overwhelming noise from more immediate, high-profile events. However, if you care about preparedness, supply chains, your freedom, or simply what the next few years might look like once current global tensions subside, these three stories demand your attention. This video will break down exactly what these under-the-radar stories are, why they matter far more than people realize, and what they could mean for you and your family in the coming months and years. The first story unfolds in the world of artificial intelligence. Anthropic, the creator of Claude, has developed a new version called Claude Mythos. This iteration is not yet available to the public because it is significantly more powerful than any previous release, particularly in its ability to identify and write computer code capable of breaching systems. Mythos excels at discovering security vulnerabilities in phones, computers, critical infrastructure, and networks. Anthropic is so concerned about its potential misuse for massive cyber attacks that they've taken extraordinary measures. To demonstrate their apprehension, they announced Project Glasswing, utilizing this unreleased version of Claude in a defensive capacity. Instead of a public release, Anthropic granted limited, controlled access to a select group of major companies. These organizations are using Mythos to scan and rectify vulnerabilities in critical software and open-source code, proactively addressing weaknesses before malicious actors can exploit them. This situation is so potentially dangerous that U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell held an urgent closed-door meeting with CEOs of major banks, including Bank of America, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and Wells Fargo. Why should this concern you? This marks the first time an AI company has deliberately withheld one of its models from public release due to its inherent danger. This situation clearly demonstrates the rapid advancement of AI capabilities and highlights why cybersecurity, digital privacy, and the security of power grids, banks, critical infrastructure, and even our personal devices could become significantly more fragile in the very near future. The biggest and most immediate long-term risk is that Mythos-level AI could make sophisticated cyber attacks dramatically easier and faster. Once it becomes publicly accessible, this technology could trigger a global cyber arms race, escalating the perpetual battle between offensive and defensive AI cyber systems. The long-term downside isn't solely the risk of a single, catastrophic attack, though that remains a possibility. The more pervasive concern is the creation of a permanently more dangerous digital world where security is significantly harder to maintain, costs are dramatically increased, and public trust in technology and digital systems slowly erodes. While our attention has been fixed on the situation in Iran, a quieter yet profoundly significant series of events is unfolding on the global political stage. It's a series of major political tidal shifts that could reshape alliances, economies, and stability across Europe and South America for years to come. Let's start with Europe. Recently in Hungary, Viktor Orbán's party experienced a significant defeat in parliamentary elections after 16 years in power, suggesting a weakening grip on the country. This development is significant because Hungary has consistently been one of the most pro-Russia voices within the European Union. A major shift in its leadership could diminish Russia's influence in Central Europe and alter the balance within the EU, potentially increasing the likelihood of more aggressive EU actions or retaliation against Russia concerning the conflict in Ukraine. Bulgaria is also heading for another snap parliamentary election this upcoming weekend. The country has been caught in a cycle of political fragmentation, and this vote could further underscore the growing instability across Eastern Europe. Additionally, in the Netherlands and parts of Germany, populist and anti-establishment parties are gaining significant ground. Between these developments in Eastern Europe and Western Europe grappling with mass immigration challenges, a significant political realignment is underway. This trend, which began with Brexit, has intensified through the immigration patterns of the early 2020s. Consequently, Europe is showing signs of fracturing at a time when many in the United States are questioning the fundamental value of NATO. That's just Europe. Simultaneously, South America is growing increasingly unstable. In Peru, the country recently held the first round of its new presidential election. Peru has been mired in a near-constant political crisis for years, and this vote offers another indication that stability remains elusive. This is concerning because Peru is a major producer of copper and other critical minerals. Turmoil there could send ripples through the global supply chain for electronics, solar panels, and electric vehicles. Furthermore, in Argentina, Javier Milei's libertarian experiment is encountering serious headwinds, battling high inflation and persistent political unrest. These political tidal changes are occurring precisely when global supply chains are already strained by conflicts in Iran and Ukraine. A power shift in Hungary could disrupt energy flows across Europe. Chaos in Peru could tighten supplies of essential metals for solar batteries and electronics. Broader instability across Europe and South America frequently translates into increased migration pressures in the United States, significant commodity price swings, and political decisions that ultimately impact food, fuel, and trade within our own borders. The overarching point of these global developments is to recognize that the world is becoming increasingly fragmented and less predictable. Old alliances are shifting, new power centers are emerging, and many of these profound changes are unfolding while our focus remains elsewhere. These are precisely the slow-moving, high-impact developments that can subtly influence grocery prices, energy costs, and long-term stability. Finally, two slow-moving but highly significant trends are developing within the United States, poised to shape the next decade or beyond, yet they receive surprisingly little attention. The first is escalating housing stress. Foreclosure-related legal filings and requests have spiked to their highest levels since the COVID-19 pandemic. Elevated interest rates continue to squeeze homeowners who bought or refinanced in recent years, with private mortgage insurance, PMI, remaining exceptionally expensive. Consequently, many are struggling to keep up with their payments. Beyond residential concerns, commercial real estate, particularly office buildings, faces immense challenges. Regional banks are grappling with a massive struggle to sustain and refinance loans for these commercial properties, which are experiencing high vacancy rates. While the housing and mortgage situation presents a short to medium-term concern, its combination with the second trend is far more alarming. America's birth rate continues its decline, reaching levels where, without immigration, the population is essentially stagnant. Fewer births today mean a significantly smaller workforce in 15 to 20 years, placing immense pressure on Social Security, Medicare, the overall tax base, and the entire economy. Combining a shrinking future workforce with rising housing costs and growing national debt creates a profoundly difficult situation for the next generation. Fewer young families translate to reduced demand for schools, services, and local businesses. Simultaneously, older homeowners unable to afford rising property taxes or maintenance costs may be compelled to downsize or even lose their homes. Moreover, this demographic shift results in fewer workers supporting a larger retiree base, a scenario that historically leads to higher taxes, reduced public services, and increased inflation. While global attention remains laser-focused on the situation in Iran, crucial under-the-radar shifts are unfolding that could profoundly shape the coming years. Individually, these aren't screaming crisis headlines today, but collectively, they paint a picture of a world becoming more fragmented, more expensive, and less predictable.